Every wife was anticipated to throw her house keys into a bowl. Then, each husband would randomly select one and spend the night with the woman whose key they drew, reveling in an evening of forbidden delight. Were you aware of how this gathering was meant to conclude? I insisted, locking my gaze with hers. She wore a smirk, her expression devoid of any remorse. Indeed, I was aware. Welcome to IFIRE Story. Catch gripping Reddit tales of family drama, cheating wives, and betrayal. Subscribe for shocking daily stories that'll keep you hooked. Lauren was absolutely livid with me, her husband, Caleb Harrison. How was I aware? It was quite clear. As we made our way home from a gathering at the Parkers, Lisa positioned herself at the farthest edge of the seat, her arms tightly crossed, her expression sharp enough to curdle milk. What could have caused her anger? It's understandable that she was upset, given that I utterly spoiled her evening. What a mistake, right? I ought to feel remorse for having embarrassed her, the mother of our 3 children. I regret my actions, but how did I manage to ruin the evening? I took hold of the incorrect key. That's how it happened. It appears there's an unusual twist to the gatherings the Parkers throw. One that my beloved wife seemingly chose to accept without a moment's hesitation. Regrettably for her, I did not support the notion. We had never been to one of their gatherings before, yet after a decade of marriage, Lauren somehow neglected to mention that this specific party had an unexpected conclusion. Every wife was anticipated to throw her house keys into a bowl. Then, each husband would randomly select one and spend the night with the woman whose key they drew, reveling in an evening of forbidden delight. As the evening drew to a close, and I grasped the true essence of the gathering, I felt my sanity teetering on the brink. Never before had I felt such anger towards Lauren. I seized her by the arm and drew her into the kitchen. Were you aware of how this gathering was meant to conclude? I insisted, locking my gaze with hers. She wore a smirk, her expression devoid of any remorse. Indeed, I was aware. So, you chose not to share that with me? I inquired, my anger still simmering. I refrained, knowing you wouldn't be on board with it. She replied, effortlessly composed, "You're completely correct. I disagree, and I still have the option to choose. Shall we return to our abode? We must stay here for the time being. That would be impolite." "You've placed me in a rather uncomfortable situation," she contended. "Moreover, it's merely a single evening. It might add a spark to our relationship." "I can certainly manage without this sort of thrill," I retorted. "Perhaps we should simply express our regrets and take our leave." "We could use a bit of thrill, Caleb. It is essential for me. Just one night, and I'll feel wanted again, not merely as a wife and mother." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This does not capture my interest, and I will not allow it to unfold. It's time to move forward. Disregarding her objections, I pulled her back into the living room, where the crowd was assembled around the notorious bowl, eager to choose their partner for the evening. Lauren attempted to break free, yet I held on tightly. Upon arriving at the bowl, I made it abundantly clear to everyone that I had not been informed about the arrangements for tonight, and I would not be sharing my wife with anyone. I sifted through the bowl and retrieved our house key, instantly recognizing it by its blue keychain. Displaying it for everyone to witness, I emphasized, "My marriage is sacred, and I cannot support this." The crowd let out a few murmurs of discontent, but their opinions were of no concern to me. I glanced at Lauren, her anger palpable, her cheeks burning with humiliation. I presented her with a decisive moment. Lauren, the choice is yours, but make it swiftly. Join me and cast aside this absurdity, or remain and never return. I am departing. The atmosphere in the room shifted dramatically as every gaze focused on my wife. Following a charged silence, she finally uttered her words, her tone laced with irritation. Apologies for my husband's actions, she addressed the group. I would enjoy remaining here, but it seems more prudent for me to take my leave. Reluctantly, she trailed behind me to the car. You're unbearable, she spat as we entered. How could you humiliate me like that in front of everyone? It seems we won't receive another invitation to their gatherings. Humiliate you? What about the way you humiliated me by keeping your plans to sleep with another man tonight a secret? There were certainly other options available, and we both could have had a great time. I have no interest in anyone else, Lauren. I have remained loyal to you. And it is disheartening to discover that after a decade of marriage, you wish to be with someone else. It will be just this one time, Caleb. Only a single night, amidst all the nights we've experienced together. Is that really too much to request? It's quite a request. This is not a trivial matter, Lauren. It's a significant matter, I declared, coming to a sudden stop. However, if this holds such significance for you, then very well. I executed a quick U-turn and accelerated back toward the Parkers' house, causing Lauren to let out a startled yelp as I maneuvered the car. What are you up to, Caleb? If being with another man holds such significance for you, then by all means, pursue it. I won't stop you, I declared, pulling up to the house with tires screeching. There's still an opportunity for you to embrace your journey. Her complexion drained of color. What do you mean? You're welcome to join them, Lauren. Seek out another who can provide what I seemingly cannot. It's merely a journey, Caleb. A unique perspective. You're wonderful, yet I require this. I prefer to stay out of it entirely. I have remained loyal to you, and I have no intention of altering that now. If you proceed with this, our relationship will come to an end. Lauren paused, her fingers resting on the door handle. Can you pick me up in the morning? She asked, a hint of optimism lacing her words. But the answer was a firm no. I'm confident that the person you choose will be more than willing to accompany you on all your journeys. Her expression darkened. You really have a way of making it sound so unclean, Caleb. It isn't quite that way. That's precisely how it is, Lauren. A night awaits you with someone unknown. She let out a deep breath. It's merely a single evening. It's nothing to worry about. Not even a single second would be acceptable, I declared with conviction. If you proceed with this, it's over between us. She appeared to be oblivious to the situation. Caleb, you're being a bit dramatic. I'll return to you in the morning, and this will all be a distant memory. Absolutely not, Lauren. Should you step back into that house, my desire for you will vanish forever. That's not going to occur, Caleb. We have tied the knot. We will overcome this challenge. I tilted my head in disbelief. Once you step inside, there's no turning back. Lauren paused briefly, then pushed the door open. See you in the morning, Caleb, she declared, a bold smile gracing her lips. No, you won't, I murmured as I pulled away, leaving her in the driveway, bewildered. I wished for her to reach out, acknowledge her mistakes, and invite me to return, yet that call never came. As I drove, my eyes brimmed with tears. Lauren opted for an unfamiliar face, instead of me, instead of our union. I recalled my father's words. If a woman is genuinely contemplating intimacy with another man, she has already crossed a boundary. And it struck me, my marriage had come to an end. The true heartache in this situation revolves around our 3 children, 8-year-old Ava, 7-year-old Sophie, and 3-year-old Owen. How am I supposed to carry on without their presence in my daily life? However, I cannot simply ignore Lauren's actions without addressing the repercussions. The children were enjoying their weekend at my mother's home, allowing me the opportunity to contemplate my forthcoming plans. I wandered the streets for what felt like an eternity, clinging to the hope that Lauren might ring me and request a ride. As the minutes passed, it became increasingly evident that she had reached her conclusion. At last, I made my way back home. Upon arriving in the driveway, my phone began to ring. For a fleeting instant, my heart quickened, yearning for it to be her. But the caller ID revealed a different truth. I responded regardless, and on the other end was Jake Sullivan, one of the attendees from the gathering. "Hello, Caleb. Greetings, it's Ted. Lauren shared your number with me. She truly wishes for your return. She expressed her enthusiasm for tonight and believes you should be a part of it. You're quite fortunate, aren't you? Every man present is eager to unlock her secret. She's been sharing with everyone that tonight will be one for the books, and she hopes you'll join in on the experience." "Things are really heating up here," Ted said over the phone. "Everyone is buzzing with anticipation about who they'll be paired with tonight. There's still an opportunity for you to return and select a key. There are some truly captivating women here, Caleb. They are prepared to offer you an unforgettable experience this evening." "How dare you, Jake Sullivan?" I retorted with disdain. "And to hell with everyone at that gathering, including my disloyal spouse. I trust that you will all receive what is rightfully yours." I ended the call and stumbled into the house, my thoughts swirling around me. In just 20 minutes, I managed to pack 2 suitcases filled with enough clothes for a week or two, snatched my laptop and shaving kit, and loaded it all into the car. While sifting through a few drawers, I stumbled upon our marriage certificate. With a dark sense of fulfillment, I ripped it into 4 fragments. Then, I took a hammer and smashed my wedding ring flat. After a few attempts, I finally finished. I carefully set the ring and the ripped certificate on Lauren's pillow. With a final click, I secured the front door and set off into the darkness of the night. I planned to locate a motel a few miles beyond town, but first I drove by the Parkers' residence once more. Several cars had already departed, and I noticed groups of people conversing in pairs on the street. Lauren was nowhere to be found. I assumed she had moved on with her new partner, or maybe even joined forces with Ryan Mitchell himself. The motel I ultimately discovered was located in a neighboring town. It wasn't extravagant, but the secluded parking lot in the back was just what I needed. I secured the car, grabbed a 6-pack of Newcastle from the nearby convenience store, and returned to my room to relax with some television. The initial 2 beers eased the tension. Just as I cracked open the third, my phone chimed in. It was Lauren. I realized she wasn't reaching out for a ride, so I allowed it to go to voicemail. "Caleb, your behavior is quite immature," her message began. "Ted shared your words with me. How many times must I repeat myself? It's merely one night. Allowing one person to spend time with me for a few hours doesn't define my character. Absolutely, it may hurt a little, but I promise to compensate you in ways you can't even begin to envision when I return home tomorrow. It may not matter to you, but after you took our key from the bowl, I received a replacement. The individual who received it is named Grayson. He appears to be kind, and he assured me that he wouldn't apply any pressure. He has a spouse and children as well. Since you're here, I decided to go to him. His spouse and her partner are in another room, ensuring we won't interrupt them when tensions rise. You're aware of how expressive I become when you make contact with me. She released a gentle chuckle. Caleb, I understand your frustration, but I assure you that I won't allow him to take any actions that we haven't already considered. I suggested to Grayson that we maintain simplicity and perhaps adhere to our standard approaches. He has accompanied me on several occasions, primarily in the traditional position, but we may explore some variations. He was on board, particularly because it's my initial experience with another man. He'll take me home tomorrow, and I'll clean up and get ready before returning to you. No leftovers for you, darling. Wishing you the most delightful dreams, my dear. Prepare yourself for an exhilarating encounter when we meet in the morning. Adore you, Caleb. Hearing her words shattered me inside. How could I have chosen to unite with someone so lacking in wisdom and integrity? Sure, Lauren had always had a whimsical nature, but I believed it was part of her allure. Now, her impulsive choices were poised to take away everything she held dear. Her life, her husband, and likely her children as well. She failed to grasp that I couldn't simply overlook what she did after allowing another man to have her and parading it before me. I ought to have overlooked her message, yet I found myself unable to resist. After the third ring, she answered the call. "Hey there, darling," she whispered sweetly. "Grayson and I have just settled into bed, so I won't be able to chat for long." "Be quiet, Lauren," I stated with a chill in my voice. "This will be the final communication from me. You may be unaware of the consequences of your actions, but soon enough, the truth will reveal itself to you. Have a good night with Grayson, as when you rise tomorrow, our marriage will be finished. Understood? Your journey has come to an end." Her voice wavered. "Mark, could you clarify what you mean?" "Please don't act that way. I never imagined I would express this, but my feelings of disdain for you have surpassed any love I once held. I anticipate communication from my attorney next week." And with that, I ended the call. Half a minute passed, and the phone rang once more. It was indeed her. I allowed it to go to voicemail. "Caleb," she started, her voice trembling, "why are you putting us through this? How could you possibly say those things to me? I am your spouse. Could you please allow me this one night? Grayson and I are only beginning, and now you're throwing a wrench into it all. I'm not sure I can find joy in being with him anymore. We are not going our separate ways. I'll return home tomorrow, and we can discuss this further." I could head home now, but I made a commitment to Grayson to be with him this evening. Kindly make an effort to comprehend. He took my key, and I expressed that he could have me. There's no turning back from that decision now. She took a moment, and I caught her murmuring gently, likely directed at him. "Oh my goodness, yes, Grayson is prepared. I must take my leave. I cherish you, Caleb. I will forever hold you in my heart. Until the morning, then." A wave of nausea washed over me. I found it impossible to say no. I returned her call, but this time the phone rang multiple times before it redirected to voicemail. It was evident that Grayson had already staked his claim on her. I sent her one last note. "Lauren, it's obvious you're with him now. You're savoring every gift he offers, relishing all the fresh experiences. You have shattered my heart, and forgiveness will forever elude you. You fulfilled your commitment to Grayson, yet you were unable to uphold your promises to me. You've reduced yourself to nothing but a betrayer of trust. From this point forward, you may choose to be with as many men as you wish, but you have lost me for good. Lauren failed to return the call. It was clear to me that once she entered a relationship with a man, she became utterly absorbed, as if nothing else held any significance. I had my doubts about whether she actually heard my last message. Regardless, it was of no consequence. Our union had come to an end. I finished off the remaining beers, pushing aside thoughts of Lauren nestled in bed with Grayson. I found it hard to picture her engaging in all the activities we once shared together. Yet, I was certain she would. She had a way of expressing herself during intimacy, and tonight would be no exception. The effects of the beer finally caught up with me, and I succumbed to unconsciousness, tears continuing to stream down my cheeks. After a few hours, I stirred awake, the stark truth crashing down on me once more. My wife had deceived me, and I needed to devise a plan to safeguard my children, remove her from the equation, and ensure that everyone at that gathering faced the consequences. We resided in Havenport, Mississippi, a charming little town nestled along the Gulf Coast. Fortunately, Mississippi acknowledged infidelity as a valid reason for divorce. That could assist me in evading child support payments and perhaps even aid in securing custody of the children. I was in search of an exceptional attorney, someone truly outstanding. I took a shower, put on my clothes, and reached out to my mom around 7:30 to update her on the situation. She shared my astonishment regarding Lauren's actions. She assured that she would keep it from the kids for the time being. I mentioned that I would collect them after I had everything organized. As much as it pained me to acknowledge, I realized that Lauren was likely to secure custody of them, at least for the time being. She had always been a devoted mother, yet after last night, my perception of her shifted entirely. Once I finished my call with my mom, I made my way to a local diner for some breakfast. Just as I was preparing to park, my phone rang once more. It was indeed Lauren. I brushed it off, yet she rang once more. Upon my silence, she decided to leave a voicemail. Amidst her tears, she pleaded, "Caleb, please pick up the phone. What do you mean I might never see you again? What are these divorce papers all about? Caleb, you can't just walk away from me. I refuse to allow that. Our children require the presence of both parents. How could you destroy our marriage certificate and discard your wedding ring? You promised to keep it close for all time. I never expected you to go to such lengths. My affection for you, Caleb, knows no bounds." That unforgettable evening with Grayson was truly remarkable. He reignited a spark within me. I had lost touch with the feeling of laughing and screaming simultaneously. Yet, as astonishing as it may be, you are the one for me. You're the sole person I desire. This can be resolved. Return home so I can express the depth of my affection for you. Her voice trembled once more, and she succumbed to deeper sobs. Why is it so difficult for you to grasp this, Caleb? I craved just a single night with a fresh face, someone who longed for me, who yearned for my presence. It was incredibly satisfying to realize that another man considered me irresistible. You have no idea how significant that is for someone in my position. It was merely a physical encounter, Caleb. It was merely a handful of instances. I won't make that mistake again. I would love to have a conversation. You and the children are my world. I lingered outside the diner, taken aback. Had she concealed these thoughts during our entire marriage, only to finally act on them after a decade together? Lauren remained an enchanting woman, with shoulder-length dark brown hair, striking blue eyes, and a figure that captivated attention. Her hips had taken on a fuller shape after 3 kids, yet she continued to draw admiration wherever we went. What was all this chatter about the necessity of feeling desired by another man? I had consistently demonstrated the depth of my love and longing for her. I frequently delighted her with blooms and whisked her away for our weekly evenings together. Yet it seems that none of that held any significance. She craved the excitement of the unknown, and in her pursuit, she shattered the foundation of what we had created together. Forgiveness was beyond my reach in that moment. As I stepped into the diner, I ordered a cup of coffee and settled into a booth, gazing out the window while the weight of the situation gradually enveloped me. Lauren's betrayal cut deeper than mere actions. It struck at the heart of trust and connection. She shattered our family, our trust, and the life we had created together. And for what purpose? An evening filled with the thrill of being wanted by someone she hardly recognized? I found it utterly baffling. Clarity washed over me as I recognized my next steps. I would seek out the most skilled divorce attorney available, someone who would advocate fiercely for my custody of the children and make sure that Lauren faced the repercussions of her actions. The legal framework in Mississippi favored my position regarding infidelity, and I was determined to utilize every resource at my disposal to ensure she faced the consequences of her actions. Once I finished my coffee, I stepped outside, inhaled deeply, and called the number of a lawyer I had heard of, a formidable, straightforward attorney known for handling divorce cases. The moment had arrived to move forward. Lauren remained an impressive woman, her shoulder-length dark brown hair framing her face, light blue eyes sparkling with allure, and a figure that commanded attention. Her chest was neither excessively large nor particularly small. Indeed, her hips had expanded slightly after bearing 3 children, yet she continued to draw the gaze of men wherever she ventured. What prompted this unexpected conversation about the need to feel desired by another man? I had repeatedly demonstrated my deep affection and longing for her. I often delighted her with flowers, and we enjoyed weekly outings together. From my perspective, we weren't a couple that had grown distant. I always believed we shared a solid bond, a deep connection. I even purchased her some enticing lingerie and expressed my admiration for her beauty and my love for her every single day. Until last night, I was convinced our intimate life was satisfying. We shared intimate moments at least 3 times a week, and she consistently experienced multiple peaks of pleasure. What might I have missed? Even though my appetite had vanished, I stepped into the diner, located an unoccupied table, and placed an order for scrambled eggs, toast, and a cup of black coffee. I hardly made a dent in my meal, yet I managed to sip on at least 6 cups of coffee. I had never experienced such a sense of aimlessness, such emptiness, such complete surrender. I had listened to others express their longing for death, and at that moment, I grasped the reason behind it. The sole anchor preventing me from plunging into utter despair was the image of my children in my mind. I had to persevere for them, to maneuver through the chaos Lauren had left behind and shape a future for us. That understanding empowered me. I had to push through. A plan was all I required. Lauren kept calling me that day, but I let every call go to voicemail. She implored for empathy, yet never offered an apology. There was no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, merely a firm assertion that she required that single evening, and my role was to stand by her side. She claimed they had been intimate 3 times that night, and once again in the morning. "That's it," she said, as if that alone could lighten the burden of forgiveness. She also noted that she might not have switched off her phone in time and expressed concern that I might have overheard her conversation with Grayson. She wished I hadn't caught on to too much. I must acknowledge her skill. She truly understood how to inflict pain with precision. I found it hard to understand how anyone could act with such folly. The sole bright spot in this chaos was that I had gathered sufficient audio proof of her betrayal to present in court. I was uncertain if it would suffice, yet it was undeniably incriminating. Tomorrow, I will begin setting things in motion. I would seek out a competent attorney and compile all the necessary information. I spent some time with my children at my mother's home. She noted that Lauren had already reached out to inquire about the kids and wanted to know my whereabouts. Mom informed her that I was heartbroken and reluctant to engage in conversation. Lauren seemingly succumbed to her emotions, expressing her confusion through tears. My mother comforted her, saying that no man would tolerate his wife parading a night spent with another man before him. Lauren inquired whether she ought to collect the children, but her mother suggested allowing them to remain for a few more days until the situation calmed down. The children were excited to see me and inquired about their mother's whereabouts. I informed them that she was occupied with a unique endeavor and that they would be spending some additional time with Grandma. We engaged in games, shared a meal, and I bestowed a goodnight kiss upon them before returning to the motel. Tomorrow promised to stretch on endlessly. Before bidding the day farewell, I cruised by my home one final time. Emotion surged within me as I came to terms with my loss, a piece of my life that was irretrievably gone. I found it peculiar that there were no unfamiliar cars parked in the driveway. Perhaps the vehicle was stored in the garage. A solitary light flickered from the kitchen window, hinting that Lauren was spending the night by herself. Despite all odds, I discovered a sense of care within myself. The sting of betrayal lingered, yet a fragment of my mind remained anxious. Despite my reservations, I found myself parking a block away and making my way to the side of the house, where I could discreetly glance through the kitchen window. There she sat, at the table, accompanied by a nearly empty bottle of Grey Goose. Her hair was disheveled, mascara running down her cheeks, and she was draped in a robe, her head resting on the table, eyes shut. It was evident she had been weeping, encircled by a mound of discarded tissues. For a fleeting instant, a pang of compassion washed over me, but it was swiftly overshadowed by the recollection of her actions. She had made her decisions, and now she must face the consequences. I fought the impulse to rap on the door and opted instead to retreat to my car, pulling away with a subtle feeling of contentment. It seemed she was starting to grasp the full weight of what she had done. Should she seek solace, Grayson would be her destination. Monday morning dawned, and a whirlwind of tasks awaited me. I went back to the diner for breakfast, and this time successfully enjoyed my eggs, toast, and coffee. Once I was done, I reached out to my mom to chat with each of the kids, comforting them with the promise that I'd be home shortly. I reached out to my office, informing my assistant that I would be attending to personal matters for the next couple of days. She inquired whether all was well, and I assured her that I would clarify later. In my final year at State University, I shared a room with two dear friends, Hunter Coleman and Logan Reed. We maintained our connection throughout the years, even if our meetings were infrequent. As I embarked on my journey in computer science, Hunter delved into the realm of business administration, while Logan chose the path of law. I chose to contact them for guidance. I reached out to Hunter first, inquiring if he and Logan would be able to join me for drinks later that evening. I conveyed that I required their guidance on a matter of significance, and Hunter consented to arrange it at a beachside bar around 5. I reached the destination ahead of time and patiently waited. Lee arrived first, with Hunter making his entrance 10 minutes afterward. Once we exchanged pleasantries, we took our seats at a patio table, ordered some beers, and lifted our glasses for a toast. "What are you thinking about, Caleb?" Hunter inquired. Your call conveyed a sense of urgency. I inhaled deeply. Lauren betrayed my trust openly, and I found myself revealing everything, bearing my soul in the process. "That's tough," Hunter said, shaking his head in understanding. "I can hardly fathom that she would act in such a way." Logan interjected, and without a hint of regret, "You remarked? She seems to think you're being overly dramatic." "Precisely," I responded. "She believes it's not a significant issue. I'm contemplating ending my marriage, seeking revenge on Grayson, and, above all, fighting for custody of my children." Lee reclined in his chair, thoughtfully stroking his chin. "Divorce is definitely a possibility, but securing custody will be challenging unless you can demonstrate that she is unfit as a mother. If she's introducing men to the kids, then there's an opportunity for you to address the situation. If she demonstrates that she is a responsible mother, the courts are likely to favor her, which means you may find yourself obligated to pay child support. I'm fine with that, as long as I can see my kids frequently," I said. Logan gave a slight nod. The courts typically favor the involvement of both parents, provided that neither poses a risk to the children. "How do we stand with the finances?" Hunter chimed in. "Lauren is a dedicated homemaker, and I assume your earnings are quite substantial. How are your financial reserves and asset allocations shaping up?" "I have a checking account, a savings account, a 401k, an IRA, and several other investments. I estimated it to be in the range of $700,000 to $800,000 overall. It seems probable that the court will divide that fairly. Lauren is likely to secure the house and gain custody of the children. However, if you can establish her unfaithfulness, you may be able to evade the obligation of alimony. Are you aware of a reputable attorney specializing in divorce cases?" I inquired. "One of the partners at my firm stands out as an exceptional family law attorney in Mississippi. Her name is Jessica Harper. Would you like me to arrange a meeting?" I concurred that the sooner, the better. Hunter mentioned that he would explore options to safeguard some of your assets. "Please provide your financial details, and I will take care of it promptly." We raised our glasses once again, enjoyed a few more beverages, and then decided to end the evening. After what felt like an eternity, a flicker of relief finally washed over me. A long journey lay before me, yet I finally possessed a strategy to guide me forward. As I made my way back to the motel, my phone buzzed once more. It was Lauren. After a brief pause, I understood that I would need to confront her eventually, so I decided to pull over and respond. "What is it that you desire, Lauren?" I inquired, getting right to the heart of the matter. "What do you believe I desire, Caleb?" I want my husband to come home, she said, her voice quivering with deep emotion. Regrettably, your recent adventure with Grayson renders that unfeasible. I responded with a chill in my voice. Please, Caleb, don't say that. How could you even suggest that? It was merely a single night following a decade. That doesn't constitute a valid reason for divorce. Infidelity is undoubtedly a valid reason for divorce in Mississippi, I retorted. Why do you persist in labeling it as cheating? It was merely a single evening spent with a stranger, just a fleeting encounter. When a married woman engages in intimacy with another man, regardless of whether it lasts for a fleeting moment or a single night, it constitutes infidelity, I asserted with conviction. I warned you that if you proceeded with this, it would Caleb the end of our relationship. I truly meant it. Her cries resonated across the line. Mark, this isn't fair to me. You brought this upon yourself, Lauren, I remarked. What on earth happened to you? Have you lost your grip on reality? Or is there something else going on with you? You showed no concern for me, our children, or the impact this would have on our family. Your evening with Grayson was inevitable, and now the repercussions await you. I never envisioned it turning out this way, Caleb. I never intended to cause you pain. I simply wished to explore a fresh experience. My affection for you knows no bounds. It had nothing to do with you. It was precisely what I required. That's what led us to this moment, Lauren, I said with a touch of resentment. You prioritize your own needs. You seem to overlook my feelings and those of our children. You merely contemplated your desires. An evening dedicated solely to you, I declared, the sharpness in my tone clear as day. Well, congratulations, Your Majesty. You have achieved your desire. And it brought your marriage to a close. It likely tarnished your standing with your loved ones and acquaintances. Perhaps someday I will find it in my heart to forgive you, yet the memories will remain etched in my mind forever, and I will ensure that everyone is aware of your actions, just as you ridiculed me for being hurt by your betrayal. Let's observe your reaction when the truth comes to light, revealing the number of times you were involved with Grayson. Oh dear Caleb, I implore you. My parents would be heartbroken if they discovered this, Lauren sobbed. What a shame, Lauren. You ought to have considered that prior to arranging your bedding. Now, you must face the consequences. You seem to treat this situation as if it were merely a minor inconvenience, like receiving a parking ticket or neglecting to return a library book. You discarded a decade-long marriage with a man who cherished you for a fleeting night of superficial excitement with someone who was solely focused on his own gratification. Is it enjoyable, Lauren? So, Grayson was with you 4 times, and it led to the loss of your family, I inquired with a pointed edge. I didn't have to lose anything, Caleb, she retorted. You ought to have cared for me deeply enough to stand by my side and allow me to pursue it. Have you lost your senses? No rational individual on this earth would endorse their spouse engaging in infidelity simply for the sake of novelty. That's not how it operates, Lauren, and you ought to have been aware of that. What was on your mind when you made this decision? I insisted. I didn't anticipate your reaction would be this intense, she confessed. I mean, honestly, Caleb, what's the fuss about allowing another man to have me for just one night? It doesn't imply that my affection for you has diminished in any way. The tales of couples connecting at the Parkers' gatherings have certainly piqued my interest. What prevents a spouse from having a brief encounter with someone pleasant and secure, relishing the experience and discovering new feelings. I gazed at the phone in shock as she went on. I simply yearned to feel another man's caress. It didn't signify that my feelings for you were diminished, Caleb. I simply required a change, if only for a moment. In that case, I would have devoted myself to you once more and never repeated that mistake. But that signified a lack of respect for me, I declared, my frustration reaching its peak. I pleaded with you repeatedly, and yet you only smiled and replied, "See you in the morning, Caleb." You stripped away the bond we built over a decade. The promises that held immense significance for me seemed to carry no weight for you. From the deep affection we shared, we brought 3 wonderful children into the world. We were united as one. And now you've chosen to share that part of yourself that created our children with another man. For what purpose? Was it enjoyable? A fleeting encounter? It was merely a single night, she insisted, and you must come to terms with that and let it go. I shook my head, overwhelmed with frustration. It felt like an utter betrayal of my trust, our family, our sacred promises, and the respect that once existed between us. You chose to be with someone else, and you went through with it. Well done, Lauren. Yet in that action, you discarded all that you claimed to hold dear. She paused for a moment, then exclaimed, "Damn it, Caleb. What's with the stubbornness? Why is it so hard for you to see that it was simply something I required? I am yours for eternity. Nothing is different. Everything has shifted," I remarked with a sense of bitterness. You belong to more than just me now. I find it difficult to comprehend why that isn't clear to you. I begged you not to go down this path, and now you think I can just let it all slide away. Your betrayal was a choice, and the hurt will linger forever. I inhaled deeply and pressed on. I've secured a lawyer. Tomorrow, I will be initiating the divorce process, citing infidelity as the reason. I will identify Grayson and any other members of your party that I can recognize. Picture the looks on their faces when they discover that you're the one who shattered their close-knit group and tarnished their good names. Leave Lauren and bring your disloyal companions along. From the very first encounter with Jessica Harper, Esquire, I sensed that I had found the perfect legal representation. She bypassed the pleasantries and dove right into the matter at hand. She inquired about my reasons for seeking a divorce and what I aimed to accomplish. I expressed my desire to divide our assets, proposing that Lauren take the house in return for a reduced cash amount. I understood that obtaining full custody of the children was unlikely, but my goal was to secure unrestricted visitation rights while avoiding any child support obligations. I provided her with all the audio evidence I had of Lauren admitting to her affair with Grayson. Jessica shook her head, a look of disbelief crossing her face. Your spouse was reckless, confessing to her infidelity in a manner that could be detrimental in legal proceedings. We might require a voice recognition specialist to verify that it's indeed her voice. But barring an exceptionally biased judge, this recording should be admissible in court, she stated. We dedicated the following hour to deliberating my intentions concerning Grayson and the other attendees from the wife-swapping event. Jessica expressed skepticism about the possibility of obtaining any financial compensation from them, yet she proposed that we could reveal their actions and embarrass them sufficiently to inflict significant harm on their reputations. I concurred that would suffice for my needs. Following the deposit, I requested that Lauren be attended to at the earliest opportunity. Jessica confidently assured me that it wouldn't take long and promised to keep me informed before it occurred. On Tuesday afternoon, I gathered the kids from my mom and brought them over to Lauren's place. As she welcomed us at the entrance, she embraced the children affectionately. But when she extended her arms towards me, I took a step back. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears as she begged me to remain. Yet I responded that I simply couldn't. I believed it was in the children's best interest to go back to her home. I made plans to collect them on Friday for the weekend ahead. Lauren appeared to be facing a challenge, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of empathy for her. Yet, she had decided her path. Her distress was no greater than the turmoil I was experiencing due to her actions. On Wednesday, I returned to work, understanding that I couldn't overlook my responsibilities. I required the financial support, but even more than that, I craved the diversion. If I let myself sink into the anguish of Lauren's betrayal, I'd lose my sanity. I was unable to accomplish that, not when my children rely on me. On that Thursday evening, I gathered with Hunter and Logan for a meal at the Oyster House. We chatted over freshly shucked oysters and dirty martinis, and I shared updates about the kids and the divorce. Hunter continued to explore options for safeguarding certain assets, and I authorized him to move forward. It may not seem like a lot, but it would be beneficial over time. We devised a straightforward strategy to shake up the wife-swapping club while avoiding any potential slander lawsuits. Logan had a companion who was employed as a journalist for the Gulfport Sun-Herald. He believed that if I shared the address of the Parker house and the rough time the group gathered, he would be able to reveal their secrets. He intended to craft an editorial focusing on the wife-swapping scene, subtly suggesting the participation of local businesses while keeping their identities under wraps. This would create significant unrest among the city's religious community, leading to genuine issues for the group. I provided Logan with the scant details I possessed, and he assured me he would handle it from that point onward. We exchanged a firm handshake and went our separate ways. After what felt like an eternity, a wave of relief washed over me. The weekend spent with my children was truly delightful. We ventured out for some shopping, enjoyed a film at the Cineplex 20, and dedicated a day to the beach, swimming and tossing a frisbee. My children are my utmost priority now, and I promise I will never forsake them. On Monday, Logan reached out with some exciting news. His journalist companion was already delving into the narrative and had captured images of couples arriving at the Parkers' residence. Even with the faces obscured, it wouldn't take long for the residents of a town like ours to deduce their identities. Lee mentioned it might make the front page by the week's end. Lauren kept reaching out, begging me to return, and vowing she would do whatever it took to help me move past her mistakes. Yet, she offered no apology. She never acknowledged her mistakes. On Wednesday, my attorney let me know that Lauren would receive the divorce papers on Friday. Hunter also reached out with more positive updates. He successfully transferred about a third of my funds into accounts under my children's names, safeguarding it from any potential future claims. On that very day, Logan informed me that his friend had been keeping a close watch on the Parker residence and was prepared to capture additional photographs at the upcoming wife-swapping gathering set for Friday night. He expressed interest in interviewing me for the piece. I concurred, sensing a feeling of resolution beginning to emerge. On Friday, my attorney reached out at approximately 2:30 to verify that Lauren had been officially served. I anticipated the next event, and just as expected, My phone rang within moments. "Hi, Lauren," I said with a composed demeanor, fully aware of the topic at hand. "What did you do, Caleb?" she asked, her voice laced with anger. "I went ahead and filed for divorce, just as I mentioned I would," responding with a steady tone. I made it clear that divorce is not an option. "Spending one night with another man isn't cheating, Caleb," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with emotion. "I must express my disagreement," I stated with conviction. "Engaging in intimate relations with someone outside of your marriage constitutes betrayal, Lauren. That's the perspective of the law, and it aligns with my own view." Her tears seemed to reach out, almost tangible through the phone. "What has caused you to feel such anger towards me, Caleb? I cherish you deeply. Grayson and I were involved in something more than just friendship, that's all. An affair encompasses everything, Lauren. You engaged in intimacy with another man. You have deceived me, and now you shall confront the repercussions. Farewell, Lauren, wishing you a wonderful journey ahead." I concluded the conversation with that. The most challenging aspect of it all was that, in spite of everything, a part of me continued to love her. I understood that sensation could linger indefinitely, yet the trust was irreparably broken, signaling the end of our marriage. Despite knowing I ought to keep my distance from the Parkers' house that Friday night, the allure was simply too strong to ignore. I was curious to find out if Lauren's car would be present. To my relief, it wasn't the case, but she would have shown up with someone else. Though it was customary for couples to attend together, I was aware they had previously made an exception for her, and who could say they wouldn't do so again? I parked a block away, observing a van that seemed to be the abode of the reporter. I quietly hoped for his success as I drove away into the darkness. Subsequently, Logan's journalist acquaintance reached out for additional information, which I was more than willing to share. He noted that he had taken more than 100 photographs and had already identified several notable couples in the city. He remarked that certain individuals didn't even attempt to conceal their identities. Once it was clear that Lauren was not present, he requested that I explain the key swapping procedure. Although I hadn't witnessed it myself, I shared Lauren's narrative along with snippets I had caught from other couples. By Sunday, the piece made its way to the front page of the Gulfport Sun-Herald, igniting a wave of outrage throughout the city. The article showcased a prominent image of couples arriving and departing from the residence, their faces obscured yet identifiable through their attire or vehicles. Within, one could find an additional 4 pages filled with photographs and an elaborate description. By Monday morning, the city was alive with energy as local radio and TV stations delved into the unfolding scandal. It felt like a triumph tinged with sadness. The faith-based group had burst into a fervent outcry. Community officials denounced the city's sullied image, and legal actions were being launched in every direction. Yet my mind was consumed by the anguish I had suffered due to Lauren's treachery. Lauren persisted in her efforts to mend things, yet her endeavors proved to be in vain. The conclusion of our divorce has been reached, resulting in joint custody of the children being awarded to me. She took care of them on weekends while I managed them throughout the week. It may not have been perfect, but it got the job done. Ultimately, I chose to protect her from the embarrassment of revealing the audio of her confession to her family and friends. Regarding the couples engaged in the significant events, some ended their marriages and relocated, while others seemingly disappeared from the social landscape. Lauren began to explore the dating scene once more, yet it was evident that she remained oblivious to the reasons behind the unacceptability of her past actions. I went out with several women, yet I never encountered anyone I felt prepared to commit to for the long haul. Some expressed a desire to move in, yet I felt unprepared to relinquish a key. Thanks for watching IFIRE Story. If you love this gripping tale, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for more shocking Reddit stories about family drama, infidelity, and betrayal. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next story. Stay hooked.